Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show. With your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino.
How are you on this glorious day?
I am well. I am still alive and kicking.
And, you know, that's always a plus.
It is. It is.
Anytime the feet hit the floor, you got to go thank you.
Beats the alternative, man.
That's right. The alternative is, digging ditches.
It's being put in one.
So, wanted to start off, like we always do, thanking the fans.
Thank you.
Also, make sure you click through the Amazon banner. If you don't want to donate money to the show, you can donate money to the show by getting something for yourself.
Right. It's just,
and it doesn't cost anything.
At that point, Amazon is donating money to the show.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, so, they have
painless
tons of cash.
They got $1 or $2.
They're making drones.
I want a drone. I do.
You can get drones now, man.
Oh,
those things are amazing.
Yeah, just don't fly them around the White House.
Exactly.
Drunk.
We have the Twitter is just going crazy. And I apologize to anybody. I've said this, but I'll say it again.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize if we don't follow you. I have to leave a little buffer. We hit this magic number of 2,000, and they sent us over a thing saying, "Hey, you're done. You can't follow anymore." And I'm like, "Oh man." So I don't want to diss anybody, but it's just we got to leave it open because when we get an artist, we like to follow that artist, so then when they post, we can see their stuff and go back and forth.
Right, and when you hear an artist on the show and you're part of that social media circle, well, follow them as well.
Yeah, and here's the cool part.
Yes,
you can follow us on Instagram, and I can follow you there.
There you go.
So follow us on Instagram, and that's amps _ the word and _ axes.
There you go.
I'm sorry we did that, but I couldn't get the other thing.
Don't be sorry. It's it's exactly what it is. It's amps and axes.
Exactly. We just had to do the little underscores to make it right. Because you can't do spaces.
Yeah, I know.
So you gotta. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's social media.
Technology just can't keep up.
yeah, that's what it is.
That's right.
So you had a little something there. I got something. I'll come back around. But if you your thing?
I have something that I saw the other day, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and it's new old technology. It's new old technology.
New old technology.
Yeah, it was developed, and I'm sure they spent some time doing this. It was developed by Korg and Noritake.
Okay.
And it's called a new tube. It's a vacuum tube that kind of mounts to a circuit board as an IC mounts. Like it's this rectangular package that just mounts to a PC board, runs on low voltage, low current. I mean, it uses about 2% of the power of a tube. And it's supposed to have all the characteristics. It has, just like a tube, it has a plate and a grid and a cathode, and it's supposed to have the same characteristics and anomalies that a regular vacuum tube does, but at like 2% of the energy used. And I can't wait to see what they do with this. I think they're actually going in keyboards first. And it's really cool. And
do they last forever?
Well, yes. 30,000 hours.
30,000 hours.
30,000 hours.
Oh my
Lord! So it's not like you gotta plug in like a new 12.8X7 anytime soon.
Wow.
It's 30,000 hours. So
that's pretty cool.
It's really cool. And I'm sure they're gonna. I would love to have one in my grimy little paws, but I don't think we're ever going to see these things in the market for years and years and years. I think Korg and Noritake are just going to keep them for themselves. And
if they get a patent on it, they can hold it for 6 years, and then after that I
think it's 7.
Is it 7?
I think it's 7.
So I mean, they can't hold on to it forever. And if they, because the patent will run out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if they patent it, it won't. The max is going to be that 7, and then.
Well, no, but you can renew patents. 7 is the initial, I believe. I think you can renew them for X amount of time. Eventually, they will run out. You can't have an exclusive forever on something.
Yeah, like Floyd Rose's and.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the extent. I'm gonna have to look this up again, but I think the extent might be 20 years. It's like an initial 7, and then you renew again and again. And
then once you get to that third one, you can only go 6, and that's it.
I think it's probably Well, I think you would have to renew every year or every 2 years after the initial.
Ah, I see.
But I think the maximum life you can own anything is, I think, 20 years.
That's a long time.
It's a damn long time, and I'll have to look that up again because I used to know this stuff more than I know now. But and it could have changed too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know how patents go nowadays. This was Korg and Noritake, so. It's
let the Chinese get hold of it.
It's a Japanese thing anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the Chinese will take it and they'll go, we got our new version.
Yeah, so
that's pretty cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's called a new tube, and the model, I guess it's a model if you want to call it 12AX7 tube, the 12AX7 model. It's a 6P like in Paul 1, 6P1, and it. Really, really, really interesting, and I really hope that I can see one someday and start playing around with these things because that would be cool. So cool.
Yes, it would. So I got a little thing here, and I just saw this today.
Okay.
When I first brought up YouTube this morning, because I go there check out some stuff.
Okay,
that's what I do.
Right.
GoPro has their own. So they have their own channel on YouTube.
Okay.
The GoPro cameras.
Well, if anybody should have their own damn channel, it's probably GoPro.
I mean, it's all high def. It's all 1040, 1080p. They even got some 1K and 4K stuff. It's crazy. So the title of this is GoPro, 11-year-old guitarist shreds at NAMM. So I play this video and I'm like, oh, here we go. It's another little shredder that's 11 years old. It's going to just be burning up the neck, whatever.
Right.
This kid's name, and I'm going to really destroy his last name. It's Brandon Niederauer. It's Niederauer. Niederauer? Is it Niederauer?
I would say Niederauer.
Niederauer. Okay.
There you go. Niederauer.
So
I'm sure we'll hear if that's right or wrong.
So I did the search for Brandon on YouTube. There are tons of videos of this little kid. He's got this crazy afro, and he's playing a Les Paul, and he has the most soul I have seen.
Really?
I mean, it is crazy. So then I stumble upon the one where he's up there with Greg Allman.
Oh, nice.
And they do Whipping Post, and he tears. I just can't even believe that this little kid is doing what he's doing. The dynamics, just the sheer soul in his playing. It is amazing to watch.
Wow.
And I'm everybody should go out there and check this kid out because, like, this video alone has 189,000 downloads. Right?
Wow.
Now, it ain't crazy numbers, but it's pretty good numbers. And let me tell you, he is just. It's just amazing to see somebody do it at. Okay, so you see a lot of these kids, and they're going crazy. They're really fast,
right?
Or they're doing something really kind of different, and it's like a little kid. So you go, "Oh man, that's amazing!" If he keeps at it, he's going to be really good.
Right. Their fingers seem to move a little faster than mine can nowadays.
Yeah,
too,
this is like watching 70-year-old Buddy Guy play.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's got all that behind it. It's not. There's this one part where in this booth they were at. They had it. It was like a soundproof booth at NAMM. So they had a drummer and a bass player, and he's playing. Of course, they got the camera mounted on the headstock, so you're like right in the kid's face, and he's making all the faces, and he's bending all the nose. But then there's this section where they start to fade out the video, and he rolls the volume back, and it's all this real nice dynamic playing, and I'm like, this 11-year-old kid.
Right.
You know, and at the beginning of the thing, he said...
With taste and dynamics.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
You don't see grown men at 30 years old doing the dynamics that this kid does. And it's just some jam, you know. But at the beginning of the video, he starts off, and you hear him, he goes, well, I went and saw School of Rock with my dad. And when we were coming home... I said, man, I really want to do that. And then he said, he points to somebody. I don't know who it is. I guess it was his guitar teacher or something. He said, he said, okay, well, I'll teach you. And he goes, well, I don't want to learn any of that Mary Had a Little Lamb crap. He goes, I want to learn the real stuff. That's what I want to learn. I want to learn that stuff. And everybody laughed. And then next thing you know, it goes into this kid playing. And it's just like, oh my God.
Wow.
I just can't even believe it, man.
There's talent out there, and that's one of the great things about the media that we have nowadays.
You can expose that kid.
You can expose it, right? Because, I don't know where he's from, but he could have been in his little town until he's 25 years old. And, then somebody finally discovers him.
And here's a prime example of that. Andy McKee. He's a fingerstyle guitar player. Amazing. I mean, just he beats on the guitar. He plays fan guitars. He plays harp guitars. Everything, these crazy tunings. It's all Michael Hedges type stuff, really crazy. He's from Topeka, Kansas or something. He basically was a bedroom guy, and he got enough money together and went in the studio and recorded this album, but he was never really playing anywhere. He put this video on YouTube. I want to say 7 million hits.
Wow.
And next thing you know, he's making money from YouTube.
Right.
But then on top of that, all the other videos that he had out there went nuts. And, he's not, he got discovered because of his talent. But he probably would have, he said, I saw him live at Ram's Head in Annapolis. And he said, if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't be here.
I'm sure.
He said, I would not be sitting here in front of you. And because
he might be king of Kansas, but
because the little disclaimer that they always say at some of the places, do not record or anything.
Right.
Not at Andy McKee show.
Good.
It's bring your phone, set it up. If you want to record it.
Yeah.
Because what people do is because the shows are just single acoustic, so you never get a bad sound. Right. And it's always at a volume that's normal. And people record it now that the phones are recording in high def.
Right.
And they put it out there. It's absolutely amazing,
Yeah.
It just helps the guy more and more.
Oh, no, absolutely. It gets him out there. And then, when you see that, you want to go see him live.
Oh, yeah.
You want to go see him live and in the flesh.
Yeah, exactly. Let me, here, I'm just going to pull up the one. Okay, so Andy McKee, Drifting is his #1 video. 51 million views.
Oh, my God.
And then his second one, called Rylan, is 27 million views.
Wow.
He's got like 52 videos that he
honestly
did.
for a video of music that's not in the popular realm. I mean, it's not a DJ. It's not something attached to a Kardashian or something like that. For a real piece of music by a real musician, with those kind of numbers is staggering.
Well,
it's crazy.
You know what that is? That's when I tell you, and then you watch it, and then you tell 3 other people, and they all watch it, and then every guitar player we know has seen it and gone, where's this guy from?
Yeah, but those kind of numbers are outside of the musical genre itself. He's being watched by people that are not part of the musical genre. There was a lot of people there that I was expecting, the standard guitar sausage fest. That is when you see one of these instrumental guys where there's like 85% of the crowd is all guitar players with their arms crossed, right.
One of those things. I was really surprised how many women were there. He does a version of Africa from Toto that's amazing.
Wow.
And it's all by himself.
Wow. That's crazy.
And when you hear the song, you don't have to think about what you're listening to. You know it's that song. So it was pretty interesting, but definitely check out that little kid. That kid Brandon is if he stays with it, and
I doubt that he won't.
I think we'll hear about it. He'll be like the next Johnny Lang type kind of guy.
Cool. I mean, there are plenty of kids coming up now that are just
amazing,
really good on guitar,
So it takes us, though, from that whole thing where we hear all the time the Ed Sullivan thing. And then
right.
And then it's like, well, I saw School of Rock with Jack Black.
Right.
Yeah. So Jack Black was what did it for you.
Look, if that's what does it for you, great.
He got his arm blown off in the Jackal, if I remember correctly.
And then you will go to one of the School of Rocks around the country, and you will learn how to play the stuff you want to play. And, hopefully half of those kids stick with it,
Yeah,
but,
man.
Our guest got his first guitar at the age of 9.
Yeah.
He's, and he's still doing it. And he's a little bit older than 9 now.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean.
And a soulful player.
Yeah. Very much so. So we'll, we will bring you in a moment someone that started at 9, like all these prodigies here, and stuck with it.
Yeah.
Stuck with it, and made a popular song or two in his career.
Yes, sir.
So we'll take a little break here, and then we will come back with the guitarist that probably, I believe he started the band.
Yes, I think so.
He's in the band from the inception.
Very first day.
Right. I mean, they've had a few players, but he's been one of the main guys.
Yeah.
So, we'll be right back with Mark Kendall from Great White.
Hey, this is Michael Lardy from Great White, and you are listening to the one authority on gear. Folks, listen and rock with Amps and Axes.
All right, so without further ado, as promised, Mr. Mark Kendall of Great White. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, man.
No problem, man.
Yeah, I wanted to. I know we're going to get into some discussion with Mark because we want to find out his past, like we do with all the guys. But one of the things I wanted to ask Mark right off the bat, because I have like a little bit of an interest in this, is you got to work with this old salty dude named Ed Roman.
I did,
and I got to work with him a little bit because I bought some woods from him and stuff because I had my hand in building some guitars in the past. Mm-hmm. And a very unique person. And, died suddenly and never really got much press on his death, but was a huge guy behind a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't know. Gibson and Steinberger and, kind of like really big fan of Bernie Rico with BC Rich. Mm-hmm. And he had, and still does, even though he's not alive, a incredible custom shop.
He's a legend.
Yeah, and I mean, people.
I got a chance to get to know him a little bit, and I was actually, he had a reality show in the works.
Yeah.
Actually had a bunch of people filming. I was on the very first, pilot or whatever, and I would sit there and make him tell me stories. I mean, this guy was at Woodstock, like, hanging on the stage. I mean, his whole life's music, guitars, and he's really a character, man.
And built you a lot of cool custom stuff that was like the Shark and,
beautiful stuff. And Mike Reisinger is just a very good guitar maker. I found something that I could use. It's actually my main guitar right now that I've been using. The only thing I've changed is the pickups about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But my new pickups that I have now, I'm completely sold.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to go into that, but I just wanted to get that thing out because, if you go on his website, he was the kind of guy that ranted, he just like, he was a salty dude, man. I mean, he saw like a lot of things that were being done wrong, especially with musical instruments. Mm-hmm. So, you know.
Yeah, with corporate, he was totally against corporate instruments.
Absolutely.
That aren't made right, you know.
Yep.
I mean, literally on his show, they were blowing up like
he shot a Les Paul.
Like, you know, with like machine guns.
Yeah. He took out like, I'm not kidding you, he takes out like an AK-47 and just lays into like a Les Paul custom. Just destroys the guitar.
He's a crazy man.
Yeah,
but it was going to be a great show because these guys are real. I mean, there's real fights. He hates cigarette smoke. He's just a crazy man, you know. So it was definitely going to be a great show.
I mean, you know, and Ed Roman Guitars and everything associated with that was the pretty big empire that he put together.
It's one of the largest music stores.
I had my
in
hands
Vegas.
all over three Billy Gibbons guitars, and there was a sign on all of them that said "Do not touch," and I was playing. I heard from him.
You rebel, you.
Yeah, I heard from him a little bit. Fingers off that thing. You know? But yeah, I love the man, and I only got a chance to know him for a few months, you know. But he's a really great dude, man, and he's seen a lot.
Yeah.
You know, very interesting guy. It was very sudden the way he died. It was actually, he was already screaming at people again. He was out of the hospital.
Wow.
He was fired up, and he just got hit with the double, another heart attack, you know. Yeah, it's sad. Too bad. I was really bummed about that.
Sometimes you can't get fired up twice like that in life, you know.
You gotta
sit back and mellow out after a while.
Just a little bit.
He can't do that though, man.
No. Ed was not that guy.
Yeah,
he wasn't that guy. He just mellow.
I called him up one time and we had a conversation, and I won't mention the guitar maker, but he's close to us, and boy, he laid into him 6 ways a Sunday, and I just was like, whew.
He's meticulous.
Yeah.
He really is.
Well, he also
did Shark guitar. I mean, he was just like every little pick on it. It had to be right. You know?
And his thing was too is that he was like, look, you can make a corporate guitar, but charge the right price. Mm-hmm. Don't charge $3,000 for a guitar that was made on a machine and had a bunch of kids out of high school sanding on it for 4 hours.
I just went to school on that. I was at the Fender factory on Monday and did this like tour, and I saw the difference between, you know, getting a real guitar and one that's on a machine. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's literally guys hand sanding guitars. Those are the ones that are custom ordered. The ones that are just on the rack are the ones that are just fired through the machines, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's like back in old school when there were no, you know, maybe a rough cut kind of machine, and after that it was all hands on.
Overhead pin router. Guy could lose a digit.
You know what I was blown away by is most of the people that work there that do the real intricate, you know, electronic stuff are all ladies. They're all like
meticulous.
Attention to detail,
and
man.
that's why guys can't do that. Guys can't sew. You know what I mean? Guys can't wind pickups like ladies.
Yeah. Well, they have.
I found it funny because if you squint your eyes, you swear you're in like the sewing factory.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I never thought of that.
There's actually a legendary person there. Her name was Abby something.
Abigail.
Abigail, and you know, she wound Hendrix pickup, like everybody you can imagine.
Yeah, her successor has taken over now. She finally retired after, I don't know, 150 years or something.
She was God, she's amazing.
Oh, man, her pickups are so coveted now. It's ridiculous.
And even the Stones, I heard one time, picked her up in a limousine. She's so legend. Took her to a show and stuff, you know. So,
That's too cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, how can you get that famous winding pickups? But I mean, I guess if you're around that long and you do it right, you know, she deserves everything.
People find out about it eventually. And you're right, she does deserve everything.
Well, now that we've gone off on this complete tangent, I guess.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
How about that, Ed Roman?
God bless him. There we go.
God bless him. Is right, man. He's got a great family, too. You know, they're trying to continue it on. Obviously, it's very tough because they relied on him so much. But hopefully they can keep it going.
Well, I hope so too. But speaking of family, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning years of Mark Kendall, and where did Mark come from, and where did he get the bug, the spark to turn into a rock and roller, man? Where did you come from?
Well, I was kind of born around the AaA area, and my parents moved inland, and at a pretty young age, you know, I was sitting next to the hi-fi and I was singing in key. That's the first thing I was told. He's singing in key. You know what I mean? So obviously I had the ear because my grandpa actually was a touring piano player. He used to have the showgirls, and he played the vaudeville kind of thing, the show tunes or whatever. So
nice.
He was like a ragtime dude. And even when I was a young boy and I'd go to my grandpa's, I'd make him play for me and stuff because I just loved to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did some, the left hand stuff, and he was just, a crazy man. And my dad was a trumpet player, so he's always like blowing his horn. And my mom, they used to do these after hours jams in L.A. with all these jazz guys, and it would be real late. Like they wouldn't even start jamming until like 11 at night, and they'd go all night. My mom used to sing in the intermissions, like with the piano players for like 20 minutes, do Rainy Day and all that stuff. So,
it's a whole musical family.
Obviously, the ear came from my parents, my grandpa. Everybody was all musical, and there's always music in the house. So,
nice.
that I'm sure that there was a little bit of that. And my neighbors, straight across the street, they were like my best friends. And they used to have a band that was jamming in the garage, and I used to watch them through the little window on the side, and saw the bass player playing with his teeth, the whole nine. Went running to my dad. I got to have a guitar, and he got me an acoustic, and I was able to pick it up pretty quickly, just chords and whatnot.
Well, because you had a good ear at that point already.
Right. I was totally reliant on my ear. From like when I listened to records back then, I wasn't like listening to guitar or whatever. I was just heard the melody. I was just singing along with the singers, but like I said, I could hear it good. I was singing in the right key and all that.
Yeah,
so the guitar wasn't really that tough as far as, like I'd learn off other kids. I'd try to learn chords anywhere I could. I'd listen to, the first song I ever learned was For Your Love, the Yardbirds. I remember.
Nice.
The 3 chords, those were the ones I knew. So every song had those chords in it. Gloria, I remember doing Secret Agent, man. It seems like everything was in E minor or E. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so we even played it to school. I remember I was in 4th grade, and I couldn't have been more than 10, and we had 4 songs together. We played Wipeout, Pipeline, Secret Agent Man, and Gloria.
Wow. At 10?
At 10.
At 10, yeah.
Wow.
Played for the 5th grade class, but I was in 4th grade. In the 5th grade class, we did the 4 songs. And then we repeated Pipeline as they walked out.
Nice.
now here's... And you want to hear something funny? Because my dad got me an amp guitar. It was called that. Ironically, a K guitar and a K amp.
Oh, wow.
But my friend, this guy named Kurt Chastain, he had a badass Fender Twin Reverb and a Fender Mustang guitar, just like beautiful instrument and amp. But his parents put tape on the knobs so he wouldn't turn it up past his But my parents didn't put any tape, so my amp went louder than his because I just turned everything up all the way. But I remember he had the beautiful equipment.
Wow. That's
so
funny.
we played together. He was the other guitar. It was just 2 guitars.
So one thing I wanted to mention is because Mark said that he learned by ear. That I feel this way, and I don't know how you feel. I know Jeff does, but it's like with all the YouTube stuff and with all the tab and everything is just. It's just vomited in front of you.
Yes.
I feel like the younger kids really are losing something.
They don't actually take the time to sit down and listen and try to work it out.
The ear thing is just kind of gone.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't figure it out.
With the modern technology, the human element is sucked away a little bit, and I totally get that. There has to be something to say about being able to sit with someone and play instead of just hovering in some room somewhere with your computer. But
I mean, and it's, I guess it's good because it enables more people to play and to maybe remain involved, stay involved with the instrument because it's a little less frustrating. But sometimes you got to have that little frustration in there, man. It just makes you better.
I think the other thing is too is that you lose some of the originality because maybe you hear something that I don't hear, and we play it 2 different ways.
How many people have figured out songs differently?
Exactly. But I'm putting my spin, you're putting your spin,
Right.
and we meet somewhere in the middle. But when it comes to just having it vomited to you, there's no thought process.
Over time,
And there's definitely something to say about, playing really bad in the garage and kind of getting better. And, I don't know. There's just something about that that I really like,
It's called paying dues.
I think that turns into your musical personality eventually.
Definitely. Instead of, there's a lot of things that that about modern technology. You can get around, you can do things faster and all that. I really enjoy because of my laziness. But I miss that, the whole human element, like I'm saying, about music and people and the way music is today with the machines and everything. I don't like singers singing through keyboards and all that. I just miss. I mean, I love singing. I love singers. I mean, I listened to a lot of them back because of my mom mostly. We'd sit down and listen to her records, and she would turn me on to all these singers, and they all had different styles. I mean, she like Ella Fitzgerald and all this stuff, and Barbra Streisand, and it's like the styles are so different.
Oh, completely.
But when you're singing through keyboard machines, everybody sounds similar.
Everything sounds the same nowadays.
I don't like all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I said it before on this show. If we take away auto-tune, there's going to be a lot less singles out there.
That's the other thing I hate. I don't like auto-tune. I trust my ear enough to where if it sounds good, it is good. I don't want to look on the computer and make adjustments because the computer said
it's not perfect.
The bass isn't hitting right with the kick. So when I listened to it, it sounded fine.
Right.
Exactly.
Why are you going to put all these ducks in a row like that and make it sound all stilted? I'd rather have things off a hair. I mean, no human ear is going to detect that. It's just going to feel a little different than if someone else played it.
No human ear can, I guess, officially, quote unquote, detect it, but yet somehow it feels more human.
It's the imperfection that makes it human.
Absolutely,
that's what makes music.
Well,
to me,
that's why the click. Where back in the 80s and the 90s, everybody was using the click religiously. Mm-hmm. I mean, they still use it, but people were like, there's something wrong with the click because now the song, it's hard to tap your foot to it because it's dead on every time.
Yeah.
So they actually had to quantize and move it out a little bit so they could make it a little bit more human.
Human, right.
And I'm like, well, why the hell do you need the click?
How about just let the human play it? Just let the human play it,
Okay, here's a good example of that. 30 Days in a Hole. They weren't using a click. And that tempo is all over the place, and it feels absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if you took that and you made it perfect in the studio, because the guys needed to make it perfect in the studio because it wasn't, they couldn't record it perfect, you could never go out and play it perfect. So what's the point? You play the song the way it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pull back in certain parts and all that. And,
it's supposed to be that
stilted straight on a click. I mean, at least they're doing the quantized thing there. So that's funny that they're doing that because what they're trying to do is get more human feel into it. Why not just take a click away?
Right.
It's like
get a good drummer.
That's right. Get a good drummer.
Well, it's the same thing with 2-inch tape. When 2-inch tape went away, they were going digital, and they went, it can't work. So now we got to dirty it up before we go to digital.
Right.
It was like, why don't you just bring back 2-inch tape?
Or this one you hear a lot. It goes so fast now, it's almost just like the tape. You know what I mean? Why not just use the tape?
Right.
You know what I mean? I did a solo project, and in the studio where I mixed it at, they had a 2-inch tape machine, and I swear it had cobwebs on the little reels.
Wow.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
It was like, oh my God, that's so sick.
Another song, Mark, that would be that way would be Black Betty by Ram Jam.
Oh yeah.
That tempo is,
I'm sure it's all over the place.
Yeah, that tempo, it jumps and they actually play it on an off time. They hit it like on the 5th beat instead of on the 1. Mm-hmm. They do a weird thing in there, but when it takes off, it's almost like, you got to catch up real quick.
And that's what the band, and that's from the band. They just play together. That's the band playing. That's a snapshot of time, of the time And it just happened like that because they felt that way.
Right.
I love all that, man. I mean, that's the greatest thing ever.
For sure.
I think it's like, if you could paint a picture perfectly, it really wouldn't look that good. You know what I mean? If you you got to have the imperfections to make it, your own. I
would just paint by numbers and I'd be a great artist too.
There you go.
That's right. That's right.
Now that we sound like grandpas, let's get back to the play.
All right, so where did you go after you were playing for the fifth graders being in fourth grade? Where did that lead to from there?
Pretty much Little League. I did everything other kids did. I ran around. I played hide and seek. I wasn't just like I had the guitar and my whole life was overtaken by it. But I never quite put it down. I just kept going back to it, learning more. By the time I was 14, I was getting pretty good, to where I was actually playing with drummers and bass players and all that. I was once in a band that only played Santana at 14.
Awesome.
Because once I discovered Carlos Santana, I just said, there isn't another guitar player. This is the guy. This is the only guy in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm kind of an obsessive person. Like when I discover something, I want to just suck the maximum out of it, And when I saw him do the Woodstock thing and all that, I just wigged out, and kind of got into him for a while. I just went from kind of guitar player to guitar player. Then I've heard ZZ Top and those real early records, like Rio Grande Mud and then Tres Hombres, and loved him. And Johnny Winter, I used to carry his tape around with me. I was like, almost like I was worried something was going to happen to it or something. Mm-hmm. I remember it was like an 8-track tape too, back when they had 8-track.
Yeah.
And it was called Still Alive and Well. And it was still like one of the best guitar records. And I learned so much because I met and talked to him heart to heart. I mean, just kind of letting him know how important he was in my life and how many memories he's created for me, this and that. And he got it, he was cool about it, and real soulful, down to earth and everything. And I just told him that record, it's just like, I'm so blown away by the record. For one, the sound of the bass, which I got to ask Rick Derringer. I go, how'd you get that sound? I saw him in Oregon like 2 years ago. And I asked him, how did you get that sound on the bass? Because I hear every single note he plays, the whole record, Mm-hmm. And he goes, that's Randy Joe Hobbs. He sounds like that no matter what he plays. I'll just push fader up. You know what I mean? So that's just his tone. It just overtakes everything. And he was a very musical bass player, so that really helped that record.
Wow.
And Johnny Winter, the fact that he doesn't overdub was just kind of impressive to me. I just like, he's so into playing with the band that he literally doesn't want to sit in a chair and overdub. And so he just plays, sings, everything right there. And Rick Derringer overdubbed some rhythm and, did a few things. But, Johnny Winter doesn't like play rhythm and then like overdub the solo.
Very cool.
He might overdub a little piece here and there, but I love that. And one time we asked him to play on a Great White record, just a slide part. And he said, fine. He goes, when are we going to jam? And we go, oh, it's already recorded. And he goes, oh, no, that's an overdub. I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. And we're going, really?
Wow.
Why? He goes, well, if you guys all want to jam and we record it, and then I'll do it. We're like, it's already done. It's in the can,
Oh, wow.
But that's how true that dude is.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
line,
I just kind of moved on, just got into a lot of different guitar players. Like most of the ones that I got into, really played with a lot of feeling, from the heart, the soul, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the way they squeeze notes.
So, I mean, Santana falls into that category too, but Santana, you're kind of a bluesy kind of guy at heart.
I'm very bluesy, but the way Santana, the way he squeezed notes, it was obviously coming straight from the man's soul. I mean,
oh yeah,
I've never seen a guy grab one note and just hold it like for dear life, like the way he does.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you ever watch that performance, the Soul Sacrifice,
oh yeah,
on Woodstock or whatever, I just love the man. I've never seen. It's almost like he's just like the ultra spiritual dude or something. The way he plays, and that really inspired me. You know, guys like that.
His playing is inspired. You know, he is very spiritual.
Oh yeah.
I've heard him speak. Totally heard him speak.
I was fortunate enough to see him and Buddy Guy at the PRS Experience.
Oh yeah, I was there.
That, and that was wild because another guy that can squeeze notes, Buddy Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here, check this out. We played one time, and this is the thing about Europe that's so awesome is when you play a festival over there. We did a festival with Slayer, Black Sabbath, Bob Dylan, Buddy Guy.
Wow.
Iggy Pop. This is all on the same stage, same day. And Slayer. Okay, it's like War Pigs, and now let's go into Stairway to Heaven. You know what I mean?
Well, you got.
It's just crazy.
Let's
but,
see.
But over there, you can get away with that. Anyways, so here I am. A big professional guitar player. Whatever. I didn't even care. I went out right in the crowd when Buddy Guy went on. I want to see what this guy's. I knew he influenced so many people, Hendrix, Clapton.
Yeah.
And I go, who cares? It's not like I'm Eddie Van Halen. I'm not, nobody cares if I'm in the crowd. I went out in the crowd and watched the show.
And
it was awesome, man.
I appreciate when people do that. That's so great. And I'm sure he did too. If he knew you were out there, it's like, wow, this guy really wants to see me play.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was sweet. And, he really hasn't got the accolades he probably deserves,
Oh, my God, no.
And that's mainly, when you're a blues man, that's just, you sing the blues and that's just what happens. But he really did inspire a lot of guitar players, and he wants people to know that. And I didn't mind that,
Yeah.
That he went into a little piece, like maybe 10 minutes, or not that long, maybe 6 minutes, and just said, here's one that Hendrix got from me. Here's one that, and I didn't really mind that. I mean, it might not have been, politically correct, but I really think he deserves for people to know that. And I didn't mind that he went out and said that. It was actually kind of cool.
He's been around for so long, man. And he really has influenced so many people.
And a humble guy. There's a Guitar Center thing that you can see online where he talks about how he feels blessed that guys like Ronnie Wood and Johnny Lang, he's like impressed by these guys. He goes, and he goes, I just don't know how they make their fingers move that fast. And I was fortunate enough to be at the crossroads.
See where he got started.
Right.
I know it's mind blowing what guys can do on guitar now at a really young age too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, and they got a lot to learn from too. If they go back and listen to those guys.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and I'm glad that a lot of them do. It's hopefully most people get there. Some people get there a lot earlier than others, but most people get to the point where they find out what they liked came from. And where that came from, and go back in history and really learn the roots of what you really enjoy, and people are, and it's easier to do nowadays too. It's much easier to do nowadays.
Yeah.
Because back when you had a 45 or something, it was, the guy's name on the 45. Well, okay, this is the person that did it. If you were curious enough, you looked and actually saw who the song was written by, and then you had to try to figure out who that guy was and what he did, And
there's no intranet.
Right, there was no internet.
Not a lot of fans really look into all that, but I was kind of blown away. I remember getting the Three Dog Night trilogy, I don't know, it was like 1 million CDs in one thing or something. And I'm just kind of sitting there reading through the credits because, I used to like some of the songs like, One and all those songs.
Yeah.
And I'm reading the credits and by the time I'm to the end, I'm realizing something. The band never wrote one song.
Exactly.
Going, holy shit, not even one? I mean, look at Elvis, the king of rock and roll, never wrote a song in his life, Yeah. So I don't really think it's that. It might be important to bands. I mean, it's important to me because I like to be creative and all that kind of stuff. But to the fans, I don't think they really care, No.
Yeah, well, I mean, not so much the fans, but musicians are getting further back into where stuff came from. The fans, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they change the station or the channel or their iPod shuffle or their Pandora station or whatever,
research into who wrote stuff.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't really concern them as much as it does us. I mean, we want to, come up with the next thing that's going to whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Where it came from and how to, maybe if I knew where that came from, then I could take a different take on it than somebody else, So
well, I'm just a melody dude. I mean, my whole thing, my whole life has been, I love beautiful melodies, and that's part of the reason is why I play the way I do. I go, this guy gets to sing all these cool melodies. Why can't I do that with the guitar? I mean, I want to make this song cool, I don't just want to do Fly to the Bumblebee over everything,
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much why I play the way I do. I might not win the shredder contest because of that, but I really am. This song is like what's always meant the most to me. Listening to music, especially. I'm a big fan of great melody. That's why, some of my boys, I got 3 sons, and they like real heavy shit, sometimes, and so do I. I mean, I don't care if every song is called Kill Your Parents. I told my son Shane, I go, if every song's called Kill Your Parents, I'm totally open to hear it, but show me at least a melody in the song. I just don't want the guy screaming "Kill your parents" and he's got not one iota of talent. Like you can't even, you know what I mean?
Can't carry a tune in a bucket.
I mean, you get me. That's the part I don't get. I mean, but most of it does have a little melody, and I can deal with that. I like all kinds of music, but it's got to have some kind of a
soul,
a melody of some sort.
In
there. Buried deeply, I don't know.
And I will concede that it does take some sort of talent to scream the way that half of these guys can scream. I get that.
No doubt.
Yeah, but it also takes talent to throw a telephone pole.
Yeah, those screams are just like, oh my God.
But not the whole
I've never
song.
heard anything like it. I mean,
yeah.
Is there a trick or what?
Actually, Mark, I can tell you there is a trick. My old singer, Johnny Thompson, I'll put his name out there. He was one of those guys. I was in a band that was like Pantera, and he could do that, and he did it every night. And I said, John, it's impossible.
How do you not blow your throat out
what
immediately?
What is going on? He said, well, there's a trick to it, and it's some way that he pulls back, and even though he's projecting, it's not tearing his throat up. And I was like,
oh, okay.
How did you ever figure that out? And he goes, I don't know, it just kind of came natural. And I said, does everybody do that? And he goes, yeah, I've talked to other guys.
Gets it from down lower and doesn't put so much, all the emphasis on his throat.
I could never even imagine.
Took lessons from Cookie Monster.
It's not like regular screaming, though. This is like, my whole family's under attack or something. It's like, it's screaming bloody murder. I mean, it's razor blades, crazy screaming. I've never heard anything like that before. It's nuts.
I think the thing is too is that we're rock and roll guys, right? Yeah. We like it. Yeah. We like it almost simple. It's very blue jeans and t-shirts, right?
Sure.
But it's like everything on this planet, especially in this country, it's like, hey, you just did a backflip on your dirt bike at the X Games. Oh, okay, because next year I'm doing 2, and then this guy's doing 1, but he's doing it forward. It's like everybody.
I totally get that.
You can't. It's like 5 minutes.
And,
can't sit still, and then we got to top it.
Yeah.
I
don't just sit back and listen to Red House like smoking a pipe or something. I mean, I'm like.
It's okay.
I like this heavy stuff too. It's just
it's got to
have some kind of musical value for me. I mean, I love Pantera. I know Dimebag. He was a beast. I mean, I know when they first started, Buddy Blaze, who used to build my guitars, used to drive those guys around in van in their spandex and their 80s rock thing, you know?
Yeah, they were like Van Halen back in the day.
You want to hear a funny story?
Yeah, sure.
This band called Slayer that I mentioned earlier, they used to open for us when we weren't even Great White yet. And they were doing they were like Bon Jovi or something. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, this is just like from one gig, and then all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, they played with us again or something.
Yeah.
I noticed that they were wearing like the Rob Halford, the spikes. And,
sure.
And, all of a sudden, they weren't wearing the long sleeve shirts and stuff. Did you guys go to the Pledger's Chest or what? And he goes, the bass player. I remember this is what he said to me. We turned metal.
Yeah, that would have been Tom Araya.
It's just something you could just do, right?
Yeah,
it'd be like me, like going from, all the stuff that I do, and now all of a sudden I'm doing Pantera or whatever. It's crazy, but they did it so damn good. It was I couldn't believe it. Even that night, I mean, these guys had really worked their stuff up.
Yeah,
and it was just every song double kick. It was just screaming loud. I mean, but they played pretty darn good from what I remember. Like. Maybe even a hair better than Metallica, because Metallica way a long time ago, they're just learning their craft, getting better and all that stuff.
Yep.
But these guys actually played good then, and they went over to England and practically just like destroyed everybody. Everybody loved this band.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
Slayer.
But they turned, like Pantera. They went from this '80s rock, and they go, "Oh, we hate that. Let's just do something different."
We're going to be metal next week. Is that okay with everybody?
That was what he said.
Well, you know what's funny about Slayer is one of the big four. You got Metallica, you had Megadeth, you had Anthrax, and Slayer. And Tom Araya, is the bass player, and then Kerry King, and then Jeff Hanneman, he's dead. He died just recently.
Okay.
But
I might have heard of something about that.
Yeah, but these guys have built a 30-year career playing at supersonic speed.
Yeah,
it's the most bizarre thing. And you would think.
Well, you want to hear a funny story? Dave Mustaine went to high school with my little brother, who was 5 years younger than me.
Wow.
And when I was, I must have been probably 17. Dave Mustaine, I think he was like 13 years old or something, and he told my brother he was faster than me. He goes, "I'm so much faster than your brother." But there's good news about Dave. He's really treating himself good these days, and he works hard, man. I dig him.
Yeah. Chris Broderick is his weapon in the shed. He's the other guitar player in Megadeth. Let me tell you, when you want to replace Marty Friedman, you get Chris Broderick.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
they put together some good music. Melodic, heavy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Changes. I like what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
They've done some good stuff.
Yeah, they're kind of almost like not too technical, but keep the soul there. I mean, they did Superstitious.
Oh, really? Badass. That's
yeah.
a cool
song.
Very cool. So you were saying that Slayer was opening for you before you were Great White. Was this was that Dante Fox?
It was. We were called Dante Fox. Mm-hmm. It was this was during when we had a different singer. Actually, at that time, we had a guy who sang like Rob Halford. He was like the Halford boy. And it was right before that. But then we got Jack Russell in the band. And it was right around that time. And I just remember not long after we did that one show, they might have played a little bit more around town, but I heard that they went to England. And then I heard they were doing very well over there.
Huh.
Wow.
In the meantime, we got this kind of marginal deal from meeting up with Alan Niven, and we made an EP with 5 songs on the record. And somehow, don't ask me to this day, I still don't get it. Apart from he was a really good manager, a good businessman or whatever, got us on the biggest station in Los Angeles. And
with your first EP.
And we didn't have a record deal though. This record deal consisted of a distribution deal by Green World, who had just said that they would put it out for us, but we had no label. So we literally borrowed $15,000 from some guy named Fred. I don't even know the man. Somebody that Alan Niven knew. He loaned us $15,000, so I guess you're on Fred Records now, right? And
that's awesome.
Somehow we got a song on KMET. It's the biggest station in Los Angeles, and then KLOS picked it up.
Wow.
So just because of that, I mean, it's unheard of. I don't remember a band, like, as far as in my existence in LA, that had major airplay, literally in rotation on the biggest station in LA with no deal,
with no label, right?
Not even Van Halen. It doesn't happen.
Wow.
I mean, we had been on these little local licks kind of shows, but not like rotation along with, you know, all these heavyweights, and so really it was almost I don't know what you'd call that. Just a very luck, you know, a lot of luck, and that just created a buzz. So
and
obviously, with the right people, you can make things happen. You know, when the stars line up. I mean, you know.
I mean, even with a label, that had to be in like the pinnacle of the pay for play era, I would think.
The 80s.
It actually wasn't quite, but it was getting close to that era.
Okay.
This was in 1981, almost 82.
Okay.
Wow.
So we actually, I remember we played the Troubadour, and Jack and I split $6, so we were getting paid. We shared a Heineken, but I know what you're talking about. Where they actually, what they're doing now is they're giving the band tickets to sell, and then you sell X amount of tickets, and then go bring the money to the place, and then anything over a certain amount, you get a percentage or something.
Yeah.
So
you kind of got to buy the room.
I guess they want guaranteed people or something.
You got to kind of buy the room. There's some rooms here like that too, but I was more alluding to, like, you know,
back in the day they would
on radio.
Yeah.
You know, it's
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know,
yeah, pay to play. Yeah, no, you know, Alan, you know, he came out here from Europe. He worked for Virgin, the record label Virgin, for 5 years. And so when he came out, he got a job at Enigma. But when he signed Berlin and I guess Motley Crue a year before he met us, he signed Motley Crue, and he'd already handed them over to Elektra. So he wanted his rock band and they'd signed Berlin, like I said. So, you know, he wanted us, but his two partners didn't. They felt like rock and roll's dead again. You know, it's Berlin time, and this rock and roll stuff ain't never gonna fly. Niven just kind of stuck to his guns and goes, "Well, I'm going to take these guys on then." You know. And he ended up managing. He never managed a band before, but he just had a few connections, knew some people, and really knew how to get things done. And amazing dude. Even helped Guns N' Roses tremendously in their career. Nobody would handle those guys. Nobody would manage that band. And Tom Zutaut talked Alan into it. And man, look what happened with that.
Yeah, totally. It was a horrible mistake.
Yeah, well,
I'm just kidding.
Well,
I mean, look, somebody turned down the Beatles too. So, you know,
no denying that band. I mean, that album, Appetite for Destruction, is just such a great album.
Oh yeah.
But the thing that impresses me about Alan Niven more than anything is the way he can hear the worst sounding demo known to man, and he can tell I can make these guys huge.
That's cool.
Wow.
Or else I would have had no chance. You know, he just, you know what sold him, which blows my mind. He actually told me this not that long ago, and I never knew it. But he said the reason what sold him on the band was we played No Doctor for our encore. And he heard the way we did it and the way we sound playing that kind of stuff. And he goes, "Oh man, I can make this go."
Nice.
Because he's a visionary. The dude, he knows how to get things done. He really helped guide us, and because we're so green, we're just
that's wild.
Plugging along. But it's good. That's what I mean. I mean, there's no real format. But what we did do that maybe some of the other bands weren't doing is playing more than like pretty much everybody at one point. But we played free almost every show. But you know what I mean? That's the only downfall of that. You better paint numbers on curves or do something because we literally. And you know who influenced me the most on that was Van Halen, because they played every single night. Yeah. And when I saw that, I go, I mean, I was influenced more by that than Eddie's guitar, even though he was the greatest, and we all knew it. He was a very special dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But and I followed them around. I loved the band, but it was their work ethic that really, really put the fire under my butt. I just go, we have to do that. We must, if we're gonna get lucky here, we got to put ourselves in a good position for it to happen.
Well, you obviously did it.
But by pure luck. But what I mean is,
but you put yourself out there. It wasn't just pure luck. I mean, it might seem like luck. In a better
position to get lucky than playing like once a month.
That's right. You have to put yourself in the position to get lucky. That's right.
Exactly.
You did.
Exactly.
And it's called delayed gratification. Right.
Well, I totally have a lot of gratitude toward all that. I know it takes a lot of hard work, but when young bands go, what is it, the demo 8x10 and all that? I've never heard a story where somebody got signed by sending an 8x10, a bio,
right?
The demo tape.
The bios are always the best.
yeah.
Because you go, not only are they great musicians, but I think they can do brain surgery.
And we've written our share of bones, and we've had our share of 8x10s before we met Alan Niven. I'm just saying. I've never been backstage with another band and gone, how'd you guys get your deal? And they tell me that they sent in their 8x10 bio and their demo tape. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny,
man.
Well,
stuff.
I'm glad you pounded the pavement. So, back in the day, were you guys like schlepping the full Marshall stacks and all that kind of stuff, or what was your gear like back then, and
Pretty
how is
much,
it different now?
I had Marshall stacks and stuff. My staple gun, posters. Pretty much just. And I had a lot of energy on stage, even in the clubs way back then. I looked like the first man on the sun, pretty much. Just jumping all over the place. It's funny. Like I saw a videotape of an old show. It was like 1980. I think we opened for Motorhead.
Wow.
It was like way before, we even met Alan, I think. Anyways, I couldn't believe it. I looked like a crazy man the way I was jumping around. I looked kind of foolish, to tell you the truth, but it's funny, the energy. I mean, for my age, I get out there and move okay, but I'm just saying it's funny when you see yourself a lot younger, the way we were jumping around.
Sure.
It probably hysterical. Just seemed normal back then, to everybody.
Yeah, that's just normal. Yeah. We were probably a little tired that night, for all I know.
Yeah, that was an off night, man. That was an off night. Oh man! Wow. But the thing is, you're still doing it. You're still doing it, and in the studio still, right? Just getting more stuff recorded.
Actually, Michael and I have been writing a lot, and just putting ideas down. We're getting pretty close to getting ready. We got, I think, 10 or 11 things going. Nice. And our last record, we didn't even have any material, basically. We just went in the studio with acoustic guitars and said, what do you got?
Wow.
That's the first time we've ever done anything like that. Usually we practice the songs way too much. That was a little extreme, though, but it actually came out pretty good and fresh, having the ideas be so... I mean, I had some of the ideas, just not finished ones. Mm-hmm. I just call them my sound check riffs. It's the kind of riffs I look at the band, and if they don't launch in, they probably don't like it or something. But if they
that's a good indicator, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to speak through my guitar to them. You know, like, do you guys hear that? Nobody's looking. Oh shit. Okay, whatever. I'll have to go make a 24-track demo and present it.
This is my whole vision.
I used to do that when people didn't hear, because they don't hear the orchestration in my head, right? So they might not get the song just from this raw riff that I'm showing them, but they don't know what I'm. So sometimes I'll have to make a little demo.
Yeah, well, sometimes people need a little instruction,
Yeah, exactly. But it's not anyone's fault because they don't. A lot of times I'll almost hear the whole song in my brain, but they can't hear that. All I know is this riff that's not really that good or whatever.
Yeah, well, at least somebody has the whole picture, and that's you, and you can present it to them, and then if they still don't like it, well, hell with them. Get somebody else to record it.
Yeah, save it for the solo album, right?
That's right.
Save that one for your solo album.
There you go.
That's right.
It'd fit way better.
So, what's your gear like now? And is it different in the studio and live? And I hear, I hear you're really happy with your rig, and there's some kind of pickup involved now. So tell us a little bit about about the Mark rig now.
I finally got a Fender Basement head that I finally got worked on that I haven't used for a few years, but I got this guy to mod it. A guy named David Bray's like the master at making the Marshalls sound like, the old ones, and a very good tube man and all that stuff. So it's just that traditional tube saturation kind of distortion that we all die for or whatever. So I got that amp, which is very cool. I did hook up with this pickup company called TV Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I've been looking for something where the notes speak a little better. Part of the problem with when you're working with distortion is if the distortion gets louder than your notes, it kind of sucks the music out of your playing, and you can't really hear what you're. I have a certain style with my right hand, but nobody knows that because it's being masked by this overtones of distortion and stuff. So this is my fourth pickup, and I finally got it right. It's I guess it's one that. And this is by default. I didn't pick it for this reason, but because I tried 8 pickups with my eyes closed, and I go, that one, And Michael's standing 20 feet from the amp. He goes, dude, it's consistent all the way back here. Wow. And it was called a Powertron Plus. That's what I'm using in the bridge position. And ironically, Billy Gibbons designed this pickup.
Wow.
But I swear that's not why I picked it. But I'm telling you, it is the most musical. You can hear my right hand on the, like my pick hand with the scrubs and the muting clearly. And it's just a very musical sound. I mean, you can hear the notes of the chords better.
And it's probably not a very hot pickup.
No, it is a lower. It's 6.7 is the output, which is a lower output, but not super low.
Right.
But it's definitely a more musical tone. Because you can always. Here's the problem: when your distortion's louder than the notes, you're not getting, the clarity out enough. Well, you can roll off distortion, but then there goes your sound. Your sound's gone now. You know what I mean? So. You really need to get the pickup right, and I've really the past couple of years I've really gone to school on how important pickups are, which I really didn't know in the past. I've just kind of throw in some Duncans and go, but I'm really realizing, man, you can really change your sound and improve on it, and it's so sweet. And these days, I don't have the big switching system, the Bradshaw with the 3 SPX 900s and all these, like I could close my eyes and you can turn stuff off and on and I wouldn't be able to tell if it's on, off, what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what happened to I can't remember what my amp sounds like because I got so much stuff going.
Yeah,
it became just a little bit out of control with the compressors and all that. So I stripped it down to where now I literally I get everything I need from my volume knob on my guitar. I turn down for my clean.
Love that.
And pickups so where when I turn down it's clean, and I can literally split my front pickup is a single coil called the T Armand. It looks like a humbucker, but it's a single coil.
Mm-hmm.
And the back pickup I can actually split into a single coil, can back and the neck pickup at the same time if I want, which gets a real clean sound, or just a neck pickup, fatter clean sound.
Cool.
And then if I'm using the bridge pickup wide open, it's Tres Hombres time.
Ah,
wow.
Nice.
You get me? So
oh yeah,
it's sweet. And for stomp boxes, I'm just using. It's an overdrive pedal, but I'm not really using the distortion. I'm just using the level to where I don't have to totally trust the sound man when I go into a solo. Like he might be smoking a cigarette. I don't know if he's at the board.
There you go.
At the board or whatever. So I automatically get a little boost on the solos.
Yeah, because you guys do a lot of fly dates, and
right,
you got to be responsible for your own sound, basically.
A little bit, and when we were touring with the sound man that we had for years and years, I didn't even use delay from the stage. He would put a little on a couple of things, but he knew right where. To where I don't have that kind of relationship. Sometimes we have our own sound man, but sometimes we don't. So, yeah, I want to be responsible for the sounds coming off the stage, and I'm real happy. It's sounding really musical. I'm digging the tone I got right now.
It's so nice.
It could get better, but it's great. It's better than it was.
Well, I mean, aren't we all always evolving? And you evolved all the way up to something that was uber processed, and now evolved all the way back to using the volume control and your fingers, and that's especially for fly dates and things like that. It's so nice to be able to travel with a minimal amount of gear and to be able to know how to get exactly what you want because you finally figured it out.
Me, and I advanced the amps.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm inspired because I hear like Billy Gibbons was in Reno at this. I was down in this vault at a music store. A friend of mine's friend owns this place. He has millions of dollars in gear, old stomp boxes, pedals, old amps, $1 trillion in guitars. It just, the guy's a crazy collector. So I'm down there kind of wigging out. He tells me Gibbons was down there checking out old pedals like Small Stones and all that for 4 hours.
Wow.
I don't know.
What is he, like 70? We can never, you never stop trying to find it, I guess.
Absolutely.
But I love to hear that because... Well, I know he's not 70. He's like what? I don't know what he is, but he's in his 60s.
Yeah, he's got to be in his 60s, sure.
And I just think it's great to hear about a man in his 60s still searching for something,
Oh, sure.
It's a tone or a sound.
Try to keep it fresh, There's always something new that you want to find, and hopefully you can apply to something and, bring it into play.
Because there's old pedals, like you find those old, like the Robin Trower pedal, the Maestro phase shifter. Remember the phase shifter?
Oh yeah.
The slow, medium, and fast.
Yeah.
That had a certain tone. I mean, that was the entire Bridge of Sighs album had that going.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That was Trower sound. I mean, that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
All those old pedals, they do something.
Yeah,
man.
It's good. And the old Echo Plexus, those things are golden. The tape Echo.
Oh yeah.
You can find those. Man.
Well, Dunlop has even gone to making the just the preamp, the one controlled preamp from the Echoplex, because they say people like to turn it up to get a boost in the sound. It's like it's just another form of preamp.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Amazing stuff. People are making all kinds of stuff. I know that those old Burns pickups, the ones that
Brian May.
Brian May used.
Yeah.
They've duplicated that pickup, I guess, Seymour Duncan. I don't know how long ago. I just recently heard something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This friend of mine, I told him that I got the tone to die for now. I'm kind of bragging to my guitar player friend,
Good.
Kind of got the sound, buddy.
Yeah.
No, you can't hear it right now, but I'm kidding. No, but he goes, man, I got to get you these old Burns pickups. And I go, oh, I immediately got online and like researching, but he goes, those things will make you go crazy, man. So already there's something else I got to check out, and I just got these.
That's so cool.
All right, slow down a little.
Fun first,
Mark. Slow down a little bit. Just enjoy what you got first.
Yeah, man. I've already got to change them, and nobody's even said anything yet.
I haven't even taken these out to play, but I'm changing them.
That's too funny.
Oh my
Awesome.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. You know what? Everybody's in a constant search, and that's why some people listen to this podcast because they want to find out what everybody else is using.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So you
and
check
I
out
listen to them.
TV Jones, man.
I'm always trying to, get better and find out what people are doing and improve and whatever, get my sound better.
Well, now people are going to be checking out TV Jones some more.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure.
There you go, man.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff, man. I mean, so far I haven't even played a live show yet, but I've played through my amp. I played through other amps. I'm just like, I'm ready to go do the full show. And
well, cool.
That should really tell the story for me.
Yes,
for
sir.
sure. Well, speaking of going out and doing live shows, we hope to be able to catch you on the East Coast sometime this coming year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know you guys are
definitely. I haven't totally. The shows are pretty much getting booked on a daily basis, so.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really checked recently, but I know we have probably maybe 20 shows only, but we should get it up to 60, and that'll definitely, we'll get some East Coast. Where are you guys located?
Just outside of Baltimore.
Yeah.
Oh, badass. Cool. Yeah, I'm sure we'll play there.
Yeah, hope so.
We'll have to check them out, man.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
well, Mark,
awesome,
we could talk vintage gear and new stuff forever, because I love to hear what everybody's playing, and it's what we do here at Amps and Axes, but unfortunately we got to wrap this here. But I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. I know you're not on tour, but still, musicians have busy days, whether people realize it or not. You know, so we really appreciate.
I'm
going to
go out to my garage and run 100 balls, so I am busy. No, actually, I haven't run 100 yet, but I just ran 55. This buddy of mine's a pro pool player, and he ran 400 balls twice. It's like no one's ever done that.
Wow.
So it's very tough, man.
Wow.
It's very tough.
Huh. Well, best of luck with that this evening.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man. I know.
Huh. It's good to see you
I don't
have
know
a
what
hobby.
to say about all that. I wish the pickup's not going to take care of it. I'll tell you.
That's a whole nother show there, man. That's a whole nother show.
That's good stuff, man.
It's a whole nother show.
That's right.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, man, and don't hang up. Kidding.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah, Mark, thank you very, very much,
Yeah,
and much continued success, and I hope you continue to have fun touring and recording for as long as you want to have it, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, guys.
Well, and there you have the story.
Yeah, man. What a hip cat.
Yeah, totally. And somebody's been doing it for a long time, and wow, almost. I know it's not just luck, but what a lucky streak to get into it the way he got into it. For the whole project to be discovered the way, quote unquote, discovered the way it was.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like wow, that.
And it's so
doesn't
funny.
usually happen.
It's so funny how you hear this same story more and more musicians where, like even Zakk Wylde, when his first days with Ozzy, it was all Jackson rack mount stuff, just racks and stereo. Everything was stereo, it was the whole big wide and huge and
the whole wet dry rig.
And then,
all that.
then you hear the story about where his tour bus, where he had him back over the rig. And the 800s came out, and Mark said he had a whole Bradshaw system, and now it's just
it's a guitar, a couple of pedals, and amp.
And sometimes just
guitar and amp.
Yeah,
right. And honestly, if you can feel comfortable doing that, and you know how to get all the sounds out of that you want to hear and that you need, you've come a long way in mastering your instrument, and your style. I think that is, you've arrived. I don't know what else to call it, but you may not have arrived success-wise or financially or whatever, but you've arrived as a player, as a seasoned player.
Kind of feeling comfortable in your own skin.
Exactly. Well put.
Yeah.
Well put.
I think, I remember one time I heard Phil X, I'll quote Phil.
Okay.
He said that, people asked him, they said, when did you know that you were really a good guitar player? He said, honestly, he goes, I kind of stopped learning guitar at like the age of 19. He goes, but from the time I was like 10 to 19, it was just sucking in all this stuff. And he goes, then when I was out actually working, he goes, you learn things. He goes, but not at the rate that you were when you were in your bedroom and you were doing that, Mm-hmm. And he said, so that voice of his was kind of developed over those like 9 years or whatever it was. I don't know the exact number, but then that's where all of your style and your sound, it's those early years where you develop.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then as you get older, you just, you hone those skills a little bit better, I guess.
Right. No, I mean, your early influences are a big part of who you become as a player. Sort
of like how you walk.
Yeah.
You don't reteach yourself how to walk unless you have some major issue.
Right.
But, there's many years in our life that we don't think about walking. We just walk.
Right. I try not to think about it as much as possible.
It's like speaking. Sometimes I have difficulty doing it, which is most of the time.
Good thing me.
Good thing
me too.
Good thing I'm on a podcast.
Yeah, no speaking involved there.
No, I'm sure I'll screw up. Yeah. Well, there's no. Never mind. So anyway, my friend. Until next time, I'm Mick Marcelino.
Damn Skippy, you are.
And you?
I'm Jeff Bober.
Of course. And we are saying
onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter @Amps and Axes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage ampsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.